Alright, hi. I'm Justin Diamond, and this is me reading chapter 29 from my book, Giant Special Tokyo Love and Game. Sweet dreams, I said, standing up and walking to the bedroom door. Japanese house rules dictate that one must not wear shoes inside the tatami room. Not even your indoor shoes. I thought it was a silly rule. Surely the indoor slippers were as dirty as my own bare feet. But I grudgingly followed the rules, and so I had to pause at the door to put my shoes back on as I left. I closed the door and took a few steps towards the computer room when Zelda called out to me. No, Daddy. I went back to the door and opened it a crack. Open, little bit, Zelda said. It was an odd request, one that I didn't want to oblige, because I wanted to play music. I wanted to play my favorite drum and bass internet radio station as loud as I could while I played World of Warcraft, and whatever that volume was would be significantly lower if the door to the tatami room where they were sleeping was open. But I also knew that resisting Zelda would only hinder her sleep and my playtime, so I left the door ajar. Okay? Zelda didn't answer. I went to my PC. I had just logged into WoW, hadn't even finished doing the cooking and fishing daily quests before there was a small tick sound indicating that someone on my friends list had signed on. A glance at the text box revealed the person to be Konahito. This was to become our routine, and I thought maybe I was lucky to have found someone who, apparently, had my exact same schedule. It was the only thing that mattered most when determining who you played WoW with. The person could be on the other side of the world. They could be 14 time zones away. But if they happened to have game time at the same time as you, then it worked out. Konahito's boys, she said, went to bed on their own. And they went to bed at the same time Zelda did. I marveled at this woman, if she really was a woman, for that feat alone. How old were her boys? 6, 3, and 4, she said. Incredible. What should they do? Where in World of Warcraft did Konahito want to play? She didn't know, and I didn't care. I still needed a trinket from heroic Azjul Narub, and I checked a third-party website to see that there was a pair of nice gloves from the same dungeon that was a great upgrade for Konahito. So running the dungeon that Konahito already was somewhat familiar with was a smart choice of play. It became our de facto nighttime pastime. In between fights, I would whisper Cone. I was fast enough at typing to do that, but her responses were always slow, and I soon learned to keep our during play whispers to a minimum to avoid distracting her. Instead, I would wait until the end of the dungeon when our group was savoring their victory over the giant dead spider. I would type to her then. It was a nice routine to get into during those few fun minutes of the day that Sora chose to sleep through. Fun and a little social. That night we were able to fight our way to the giant spider without much trouble, but I still had to use every cooldown special ability I had in order to actually defeat the boss. I had to constantly reposition her, pushing my game skills to the limit to do with Konahito what would have been elementary for a more competent healer. I had to use whatever few fleeting moments the spider wasn't attacking me to help Cone by casting Dispel Poison off of our fellow party members. She also forgot to dispel. She used it so sparingly, in fact, that I made a mental note to check later and see if it was even on her cast bar. More significantly, I always had to use my most emergency backup spell, the Battle Res. Short for Resurrection, It was an emergency spell which could bring a dead party member back to life during the fight. I mean, sure, characters could come back to life in WoW quite easily, but it normally meant after the battle had finished, in between fights. But druids had the unique ability to bring party members back to life during the fight. And it was a good thing, too, because Cone had a knack for dying in the middle of every attempt we made to kill the giant spider. In the battle that night, Cone managed to die twice. Once in the middle of the fight, where I managed to battle res her, and then a few moments later. Then again, at the end of the fight, when Cone was so happy that we had gone on to defeat the spider, that she missed the fact that she was standing in a poison puddle and died again. As soon as the combat was over, I used my normal out-of-combat res to bring her back again. While Molokai was casting the spell, I typed the standard goodbye to our party mates. Thanks, everyone. One of them clicked on the spider to reveal the randomly selected reward. It appeared in a window in the middle of my screen, a small box that nearly took my breath away when I read the name of the reward, when I saw the icon, Essence of Gossamer, the best tanking trinket available in Heroics. The reason why I had been religiously, systematically, killing the giant spider in Heroic Asjul Narub for all this time, finally, it was mine. All I had to do was click the need button. The other party members wouldn't click need. They would click on greed because they didn't need the Essence of Gossamer. There was only one tank, Molokai, me, and I was the only person who needed it. Once the other 4 people had all clicked on greed, the trinket would go into my inventory. But there was a holdup, and my heart skipped a beat. Holdups were bad. Usually, everyone clicked on the button as fast as they could, if for no better reason than to get rid of what was essentially a pop-up window on their video game screen. When people didn't click fast, there was a problem. Maybe they had disconnected. Maybe they were checking to see if they wanted the item for an offset. Maybe they did the job of tanking in their spare time and would take a moment to type to ask if it was okay if they clicked on need as well, in which case the item would randomly go to one of the people who clicked on need. I took another look at our party members. Konahito was a priest. She couldn't tank and wouldn't need against me. The other members were mage, hunter, and rogue, none of which were classes who even had the option of tanking. Then whoever it was who hadn't clicked. It was the hunter, and he clicked need. The computer system randomly rolled numbers for Molokai and the hunter to see who would get the Essence of Gossamer. Molokai rolled 48, and the hunter rolled 94. Hunter receives Essence of Gossamer. Molokai types, "No, why did you roll? You can't even tank." But I didn't have time to hit the enter button to send my plea before the hunter logged out of the game, his character vanishing into thin air. It's what they called ninja logging. I'd never see him again. And I typed, "Fucking ninja." The idea was that a ninja was a person who took something in the game and then disappeared like a shadow into the night. I'd never learned why he had decided to need on an item that he couldn't use, but it didn't really matter. Despite all the work, the hunter was gone. The Essence of Gossamer was gone, and there was no telling how many more times I'd have to kill the giant spider with Konahito before I'd get another chance to roll on it. The mage and rogue left, leaving Molokai and Konahito to speak freely in the privacy of the giant spider corpse. Konahito started the conversation. "I'm sorry," she typed. "I can't believe he ninja logged," I typed. "We can do it again," she typed. "Yeah, I guess. We have to. You still need your gloves anyway," I typed. "Sip," she typed. "Cone, can I ask you something?" Sip. Can I have a picture? I want to see what you look like. There was a long pause before Konahito responded. Long by Konahito standards. When she did finally finish typing and press the enter key, her response was agonizingly short. Okay. Molokai typed his email address, and Konahito promised to send him a picture of herself that night. Inwardly, I cringed at the promise. Two women making me two promises, and I had a funny feeling inside that neither of them would be kept. If women kept trying my trust like that, it would have a serious effect on me, on my psyche. But I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. After we said goodbye and logged out of World of Warcraft, I went ahead and checked my email. Nothing. I left it open in the background to make it chime if I got a new message. I turned on the TV, but all the shows were in Japanese. All of them funny, dialogue-based shows where I couldn't get the jokes. I turned off the TV and began watching some American TV shows I downloaded instead. Bing bong! I was excited, but trying not to act too excited as I alt-tabbed over to the email program. To my surprise, it was Konahito. Scrolling down, there at the bottom of the message was the picture of an older Japanese woman smiling, and quite beautiful. For one, her smile wasn't the usual Japanese kind, crooked or stained or downright third world by American standards. It was a nice smile, the kind of smile that one could show off. She wore a beret, and it had the effect of making her look almost French, even though her features were distinctly Japanese. Although it was only a bust shot, from what I could see, she looked slender enough, which was still a wonder to me, but the norm among Japanese women. No, I told myself, the picture doesn't prove anything. Konahito could still be a man, just stringing me along because of his skills and power with Molokai. Anyone could find a picture of a beautiful Japanese woman and email it saying it was them. Although, I had to admit, it certainly looked spot on. Not perfectly lit or made up like a model would be. It was definitely an amateur picture, the kind available on any dating site. I reminded myself not to forget the original rule: a random person on the internet is male until proven female in a video chat. But I continued to stare at the picture, associating the face of this woman with the priest I had come to enjoy tanking with, until I heard the light padding sound of footsteps in the living room. Sora had woken up after all. As fast as I could, I closed out the email program. I should have simply clicked back to the TV show I was watching, but in my panic, I found myself double-clicking on the World of Warcraft icon instead. The loading screen was just coming up when Sora came into the computer room. "What are you doing?" she asked, rubbing her eyes, not altogether unlike the way Zelda had an hour or so ago. "Oh, nothing, just playing WoW," I said. "The usual." Thank you all. See you next chapter.